Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something super interesting and super exciting. Shipping costs and fees and things applied that you probably need to consider if you're selling on TCGPlayer for one, but also if you plan on selling lower tier cards on TCGPlayer like I plan to, and how you can determine what your floor price should be. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on what they're willing to make and lose on cards, but I think it's super important to tell you guys that to walk you through how to actually calculate what your costs are. And I just did it on a notebook here. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to kind of figure everything out. I don't currently have every material item that I need to ship the way that I want to, but I think over time this is what I plan on doing, and I will probably be able to ship like this early next year. And once I get that kind of ironed out, I'll go ahead and make a video on the actual shipping process that I use. Everyone that has ever sold a single card on TCGPlayer has shipping guides, and some are really good, some are really bad. There's definitely strong opinions on specific things, what you shouldn't do and what you should do, which is whatever. That's beyond the scope of this video. I'm just gonna walk you guys through how you can determine what it actually costs to ship the products and cards. That way you can determine what cards you're willing to sell and what cards you're just going to skip on in the future. Because I know that a lot of people in the industry like to preach selling bulk, which is typically the lower end cards, and setting a floor price, and then just, when the orders come in, they come in. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad strategy, and it definitely works, and it is proven to work. But I think it's really hard to do that with Pokemon in specific, because of the fact that a lot of bulk cards just simply do not have any value at all. And I'm sure it's like that in Magic the Gathering. It is definitely like that in a lot of other popular TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't even think a single card holds value, so you're kind of grasping at straws there anyway. But now that I've kind of went over that, we're going to actually dive into the process of what I think you should do before you really start selling a lot of cards, to make sure that your shipping prices and the cards that you plan on selling are actually adequately priced. That way the effort you put in is worth it. So what I did first, and I think that you should do, is if you're not a pro seller on TCGPlayer, you probably haven't done this. Maybe you have, but what you want to do is calculate your shipping cost, not including the fees from TCGPlayer or anything like that. All you need to do is calculate how much it costs to actually have a thing to ship. So what I included in this total was the postage, which is like the stamp, or if you're using like a third-party website. I plan on using ShipStation, which it allows you and enables you to do like the eBay tracked label thing on TCGPlayer, which I think is really nice. That way you don't have to buy stamps, because stamps are kind of weird, and forever stamps you can get pretty cheap, but I would be really worried about that, because I would hate to spend $30 on 1,000 stamps, and then you ship out a few items, and then you get return to sender because the stamp you used was illegitimate. So, you know, just something to be aware of when doing stamps. I think you can get stamps for like 60 to 75 cents now. When I first initially started, you could get them for like 50. Um, it's crazy how much the shipping cost has gone up in 3 years or something like that. I include a sleeve because every card that I ship gets put in a sleeve. We're only talking about shipping one card here. We're not concerned about doing multiple cards because obviously shipping is going to change a little bit, but when you ship more than one card, you don't necessarily have to worry about shipping as much. But you know, one sleeve I think is fair. Every card that I ship has a sleeve. I don't do like multiple cards per sleeve. You could do that if you want. It as a buyer and a seller, I don't like that. So, one card, one sleeve. Very simple. The sleeve costs 1 cent. If you buy it bulk, you can get it even cheaper. The more you buy, the more you save. I've seen like 3,000 sleeves go for literally like 0.00025 or something like that. So it gets really cheap the more you buy, but you know, I'm kind of a small seller, very small fish. So I'm just gonna count it as 1 cent. And I think until you're buying those bulk values and like doing a lot of shipments, you should probably consider it to be 1 cent. We have a top loader. This is the heated debate. This is the top loader going into a machined like sort. I've never had any issues with top loaders. A lot of people use top loaders, and yeah, just do the top loader, man. It's so much better. You could do a card saver if you really want to. I personally do not like using the card savers. The card saver ones, which are like the thin, flimsy ones that you use for like PSA submissions and stuff. I personally don't like using those because I don't like getting the cards in and out of the thing. But if you want to go that route, you can go that route. It's probably about the same price anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I counted it as 9 cents for the top loader. And then I have an envelope. I'm going to do 4x6 event envelopes. That's what I looked up on Amazon, and there's plenty of options available. The cheapest ones I saw were like these brown, or like the overall pick on Amazon was these brown 4x6 envelopes that are for events. They're a little nicer than the security plain white envelopes. Probably a little bit more firm too, which is nice for just overall like quality. I'm willing to spend a little bit more on the envelope to get it in that size for one. And I'll tell you why 4x6 is important in just a little bit here. But I like the 4x6 size. It'll fit majority, if not all, cards. And if you have like multiple card orders, you could do like sections with the 4x6. I don't know how many cards you can actually fit because I haven't actually ordered those envelopes, but I do plan on using those envelopes in the future. I'm just trying to go through the current stock that I have. And then the invoice and shipping label is a total of 4 cents. So that's 2 labels, the 2 4x6 envelopes that you can print out of a Zebra thermal printer. You want to use thermal printer, you don't want to use ink printer because ink is just, I mean, if you thought that Pokemon scalping was bad, look at ink prices and then we can talk. Ink is a scam, we all know it, and for some reason they still get away with it. So yeah, I'm using thermal printers. I eventually am going to buy I want to buy a Zebra one because I want to get a really nice quality one, but you can get some on Amazon for like $50, which I might start out with just to transition, but I know I'm gonna have to buy a new one at some point. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you go cheap, you're gonna have to buy them again. So you might as well, if you have the extra money, spend it on a Zebra printer, because that's what they use over at Amazon, DHL, all these major shipping companies that ship a metric fuck ton of products. They all use Zebra printers, and I know because I've worked at those places and have used those printers. Zebra printers are the way. Zebra products are the way for majority of like business aspects. So consider Zebra as an option for any of the products that you plan on buying and like using daily a lot. But you know, if you're doing this like as a side hobby, you can scale it down to get like the $50 to $100, you know, basic thermal printer, and you should be fine for majority, if not all, of your shipping needs. And that gets us to $1.08 on shipping and supplies. Oh, I forgot to add, or I forgot to mention the team bag. So what I do is, here, let me pause the video and I will show you the actual ideal process. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna walk you through. I forgot to grab a top loader, so we're gonna use this as a top loader. It'll be fine. So what I typically do is I'll use an energy card to write a little thank you. I use a Sharpie like ink pen. Thank you. All right, something like that. That's typically what I do. I do thank you and then put jam, because I'm Jimmy Jam. Anyway, here's your card. This is a Force of Will card. Pretty sick buy a box promo. I am selling Force of Will on TCGPlayer, so this is just what I had available at the time. So what I'll do is I'll top loader. I don't put the card in the top loader. I put it in front of the top loader, and then I hide the card with the thank you note. So that all goes into a team bag, just like so. If you have a top loader, you're not going to have this wiggle room on either side. I hope you can see me wiggling the card. It'll be a lot more like firm in there. And then you peel off the thing that RNG Gaming hates, which I kind of agree with. Probably want to use Beckett sleeves, but then you'll fold it over like that. And then if I had the 4x6, I would just have the shipping label, and then I would attach, or the invoice printed on the thermal printer labels, and I'm gonna attach this to the label. We'll go ahead and use, do I have like a sheet of paper? No, I don't. This is like my shipping supply bullshit. But you would attach this to the shipping label, thermal printer label, which will have like that film backing on it. You're not gonna peel that off, but you're just gonna stick this to it. So let's act like I did that with these. I sold these from work a long time ago. They're essentially the small rectangular like shipping, like return address stuff, but they're a lot smaller, and I like this size a lot. I'm gonna have to figure out how to buy these on Amazon at some point, but you know, you'd stick it just like this. So I do one on either side. I mean, depending on the cost, I think I could get these for like less than a cent, so it doesn't even matter. But I would then stick this to the something like that. This is a plain white envelope, but I'd stick it to the label like that, and then I would stick this whole contraption into the envelope, and then I would seal the back, and then I'd put my postage label here, and then that is the shipping process for a single card. Yeah, I don't know if you needed that visualization, but I went ahead and provided that to you. I hope that makes sense. If you're gonna use top loaders, don't put the fucking card in the top loader, especially if you're gonna do multiple cards. It's just such a pain to get out of the top loader, and it drives me insane. I hate when sellers do that, especially when they put like 2-3 cards in the top loader. I want to go berserk when that happens, because you're fumbling with the top loader, you're scratching up all your cards with your fucking fingernail, getting it out. It's just the worst. So let me go ahead and I made a mess over here, but it's almost cleaned up. Anyway, that's kind of how I plan on doing it. If you don't like that process, go figure it out yourself, but that's an example process, and I'm not going to judge you if you use a different process. Just go ahead and total up everything that you plan on using, though. Even the smallest things, like the sleeve. A lot of people leave that out. Don't. I know most of us don't have to use a sleeve when we buy a card, because if we buy a card online, it comes in a sleeve. But it's always better to be more aggressive when you're trying to figure out your fees, rather than being conservative on things. Like the 78 cents on postage, it's probably going to be cheaper depending on the distance, okay, in the weight and everything else. Just, you don't need to be conservative on everything, and it's better to be aggressive when you're trying to figure out the minimum value of a card you can sell today, and what you're willing to do. Like, obviously I could sell cards at 1 cent at a loss if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that, and I imagine a lot of you guys don't either. So I calculated $1.08 for my shipping plus my supplies. Figure out that number for you. It's probably going to be in that range. It might be a little bit more expensive. It might be a little bit lower. It doesn't really matter what the actual number is. Just figure out that number. Now, I have set the floor price on my TCGPlayer at 10 cents. And after doing this, I think I'm going to have to increase it up to 15 minimum, because I have done the shipping cost and realized that it's not really worth doing cards less than 15 cents for me specifically. And I'm going to go over it. So the order total that I currently have for a 10-cent card is $1.41, because I have currently matched the minimum shipping price that a lot of people do, which is $1.31. I don't know how people got to that number, but they did, and I'm just matching that. So it's $1.41 with this 10-cent card. First thing you're gonna do is subtract 30 cents for the transaction fee, because TCGPlayer automatically applies a transaction fee of 30 cents plus 2.5% of whatever the order total is. That is everything included. So that's shipping, tax, card cost, all of it. I did 30 cents. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to be slightly higher than that. Which is why I want to increase my floor price. It's going to be slightly higher than that. with tax, and it's kind of hard to evaluate the tax. I'm sure I could figure it out, but right now I have not included the tax cost for that. And I also have not included the 2.5%. The reason why is because if you do 2.5%, wait, no, that should be 33 cents. Why didn't I do 33 cents? Oh, that's actually bad. Minus 3. That's actually, I'm gonna add that now. 3 should be actually 4. 4 trans. See, this is why you need to go over this stuff, because like fees will eat you alive on these lower cards. Okay, so you should probably do 33 cents for the transaction fee minimum. And as you sell more and more cards, that transaction fee is going to get slightly higher every dollar that you sell. Because of the 2.5, why I guess every 50 cents. Every 50 cents is going to go up an additional cent. I hope that made sense, because that's how percentages work. Anyway, but the 30 cents is flat. Like, that is flat. It's just the additional numbers that you kind of have to factor in per card you're selling. So, oh wait, no, I included the commission. Okay, so then there's a commission fee on the order subtotal. That does not include the shipping. It does not include the postage. It doesn't include any of that part of it. It's just the cards themselves. That commission fee is around 10%. So on a 10-cent card that you sell, the commission fee is going to be 1 cent. So we went ahead and added that. And then at the very end, after you do the transaction fee and the commission fee on the cards, you get, for me right now, because I only included the 30 cents, not the 33, technically speaking, that total card sale right now is $1.10, but that does not include the shipping cost. So we're going to remove the shipping cost, which gets us to 2 cents. Okay. And then we add in the percentage transaction fee on the entire total, which I just did at the end. And if you sold a card on TCGPlayer right now and you shipped it how I did, you would be losing 2 cents per card. So if I sell a 10-cent card by itself, I'm going to be losing 2 cents per card that I do. Now, in most cases, when you're doing sales and stuff, and you have a 10-cent card, they're not just going to buy one. Typically, they buy multiple, but you do need to safeguard yourself on that stuff, because, you know, if, let's say you get some troll on the internet that, or some, you know, savvy business person, and is buying up all of your lower value cards that are less than 10 cents, you're going to be losing a lot more per shipping size. Now, obviously, it's going to be bulked together, so you can kind of, you know, figure that out on yourself if you want to go that route, but I would not recommend it, just because if you know, you say some opinion online and they don't like it, they could come and, you know, clean your house for you. But that's why a lot of people don't do lower level singles, and when they do bulk, they kind of do it in lots and stuff on eBay and other avenues for you. So what have I learned today? 10 cents is not going to be the floor price. It cannot be 10 cents. It has to be more. Now, if I was a pro level seller or whatever, I think you need to do like $1,000 in sales and, you know, be loyal to TCGPlayer. Not like you don't just have to sell on TCGPlayer, but you have to like make sure your shipping's like in track and, you know, you're not really getting negative feedback. But once you become a pro level seller, those fees go down. That way it's more advantageous for you to sell bulk. Realistically speaking, TCGPlayer wants you to sell higher value cards because they get higher commission. That's just how the world works. But bulk is an option. Consider floor prices. I think I'm gonna have to do 20 cents instead of 15. Because, you know, if I did 15, I'd only get 3 cents per like shipment at the lowest value, and that's just not worth the effort for me. I would at least like to get, you know, a few cents more profit if I'm going to be shipping out a card, because that doesn't even include the card price, you know, what you got the card at. It doesn't include holding that card, because there is a cost of time to hold it and sort it and all that other stuff that happens behind the scenes that you're not even really calculating, because it's just time. You know, driving to the post office. My post office is like a 15-20 minute drive, and if I'm shipping out one 10-cent card, you know, is it really worth shipping it out for 3 cents? Probably not. At least not for me. So I just wanted to kind of tell you guys the process that you should go through to figure out the price of shipping, because it's really important. It's really important to do early on and stick with it, because you know, if you're shipping cards for a year and you do a lot of lower level cards and you realize, oh crap, I'm actually losing money, like that would be pretty disheartening. Anyway, hope you had a great day. Hope you learned something today. Keep being awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.